Selection of complex objects using channels. Hi guys, let's continue our conversation about channels. And today we will discuss how alpha channel can be used to select complex objects, such as fluffy kittens, or a variety of trees with a lush crown, and of course girls with flowing hair. And if you learn to select this, then you will learn to select everything. Let's try to separate this blonde girl from the background. We can try to do this with the help of the tools that we have studied before. Let's try to do this using channels. We'll go to the channels palette, and let's take a look at our channels. Red looks like this, green like this, and blue. Well, now our task is to create a white silhouette of a girl on a black background, and look at all the channels. You see that red is the most suitable in this situation, but it's not always red, it's just that in this situation. The red channel is best suited for solving this problem. But if, for example, we hadn't a blonde on a dark background, for example a brunette in some bright clothes on a white background, it is quite possible that blue would be more suitable. In general, you should choose channel which allows you to create a silhouette of a girl easily. It can be a white silhouette on a black background, or a black silhouette on a white background. Let's get started. The first thing we need to do is to create a duplicate of the channel that we have chosen. Click the right mouse button and select Create a Duplicate Channel. If we want, we can invert it right away, but in this situation it is not necessary. And if you have a case with a brunette on a white background, then I think this will be just the right solution. Next, we start working with our copy. Turn it on. Turn off the main channel. If a copy is not made, then the information that you have on channel will be lost, and your image will simply be ruined. Let me remind you that we strive to create a white silhouette on a black background. To get this result, we'll use the levels command Ctrl+L. So, we need a black background. Let's remember how the levels work. Move the slider to the right. Darken. We still have some bright areas, not quite good. We take a black eyedropper and click on them. And now the background has become black. Now it is necessary to make the girl herself light. Not even light, but white. You can move sliders while keeping an eye on the dark background, so that light spots don't appear on it again. So look, from this moment on, light spots are already appearing. So we go back and find such a balance between dark and light, so that the background remains black and the girl becomes light as much as possible, and click OK. So let's zoom in. Let's see what we have here. But still, it suffered a little. If you look closely at all this garbage, it will be seen. Therefore, I should have stopped a little earlier with white areas, with the lightening of the girl, but we'll fix it now. Let's take the burn tool. The range in shadows and the exposure is 100%, and let's go through all these questionable areas. Only it is necessary to do it carefully, especially in areas that approach the hairs, in order not to capture the hairs. So, where else? Well, cleaned up a little. Now we'll make the girl white. To do this, you can use an ordinary white brush, and I press B key and take the brush. I have a white hard brush. I paint over the central part of the girl, leaving only the edges. Theoretically, it would be possible to paint over the edges, but it is very difficult to do it with a brush, and then it will all be visible in the final version. That's why I'm not getting to the edges a little bit, because it's hard to catch them, especially if you're using a mouse and not a tablet. But I'll work out the edges using the dodge tool, hard brush mode, highlights exposure 100%, and we use it along the edges, so that we don't have any black dots like that left. Well, sometimes you can of course switch to the brush. Here we can also paint over. Look, when I use it on the hair, the strands restore and become much more visible. And all these thin strands for the sake of which everything was started, it will now be clearly visible. So, here again I have a problem with light points that I had at the very beginning, so I remove them with the burn tool. There is no need to draw absolutely every hair, because if it remains a little translucent on the contrary, it will even be good. That is, we'll work with a combination of black brush, white brush, dodge and burn tools. I'm cleaning up possible garbage. In general, this is quite painstaking work, which requires a lot of time, but I'm doing it quite superficially now. In general, you can even separate an object that is on a colored background. I have tried to clean all these unnecessary things, at least as far as they are visible. That's the result I got for the most difficult fragment on this here. Let's see what we have on this side. On this side somehow it seems to me less problematic. Here anyway, this here will not be visible. It will be unclear. So clean it. Well, that's what we have in the end. And we proceed to creation of a selection. I hold down the Ctrl key and click on the icon of our channel. We have a selected area. We switch to RGB composite channel first, and then go to the layers palette and click on the mask here. And look, our girl has separated from the background. Yes, there are some defects here, but we'll fix them. Let's edit a background here, so that it's more convenient to work. I'll take this landscape and drag it here. In general, it would be better to do the opposite, of course, because it is better to reduce the image than to increase it in terms of quality loss. Maybe we'll blur this background, and then it won't be seen that we have lost something in quality. So, see how it looks like. In principle, it looks good, but there are still small defects. Let's work on them. Click on the mask, and we have its properties. Choose Select and Mask here. So first of all, the Contaminate Colors option should be enabled immediately. Turn on Smart Radius. In principle, you can of course experiment with these settings. In some cases, it can be useful, for example, to feather, and then the edges will look more natural. Look, it have already become a little better. You can edit contrast if needed, maybe shift the edge. This depends on your image. In each case, it is selected very individually. Still probably we can shift it a little. I am looking at our very difficult side. And still, here some things are still not as perfect as we would like. You can take this brush to refine the edges and go for the most questionable areas in order to correct them a little more. The program does it a little slowly, because the video is being recorded at the same time, and of course this affects. So it is possible to correct here. So let's see where else we have something left. So it is more or less okay here. Click OK. Please note that we are creating a separate layer with the changes we have made. That is, if we don't like them, then we can turn it off and go back and try again. Well, we won't do that. Let's leave it like this. I think that the girl can probably be moved somewhere so that the composition looks better. For example here. In this way, you can select objects that have complex edges. And these include the girls with lush hairstyles, fluffy animals, various trees, as I have already said. Well, perhaps you will come across some other objects. In short, the algorithm is that we have to create a silhouette or the selected object. Most often it is a white silhouette on a black background, but sometimes it is a black silhouette on a white background. Then we create a selected area and a mask in the layers palette and refine some details on the mask if there is a need to do it. And as a rule, it occurs. I zoomed in on the image to get a better look at the quality of the work done. And note that we still have a difference in tone and in color between the girl and the background. And of course, it is also desirable to work on this with the help of those tools that you already know, with the help of various adjustment layers. You can make the girl look more natural. I think you can handle it. It was Peter Romanov and AIM School. See you next time.